Welcome to District 79 Leadership Talk, where we host the tall global leaders to share their experience with us. I'm Samer Kamal, District 79 Director. And I'm honored that this is the High Performance Leadership Project for Toastmaster Muhammad Faris. District 79 serves the central, eastern, and northern regions of Saudi Arabia. Therefore, we may need to put an Arabic translation in the chat box. لمن يرغب في الترجمة سنضع الترجمة في خانة المحادثة. For your questions, please write them in the chat box, and our question and answer moderators, Toastmaster Fazmi and Toastmaster Salim, will take care of it. We are experiencing a pandemic. Life as we know it has changed. There are limitations on our travel, movement, and our choices. As leaders, we currently face enormous change and challenge. The question we face is, what does success look like in a pandemic? Our speaker for this evening will answer this question. She is the International Director of Region 11, the Middle East and Africa. She lives in Cape Town, South Africa. She has been a Toastmaster for 12 years. During that time, she has served 2 terms as Region Advisor for the Middle East, Europe, and Africa. She is a professional speaker and trainer, as well as the author of 2 books on public speaking. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Aletta Rochat.
Thank you so much, Didi Summer, and greetings to all of you in and around Saudi Arabia. It's my privilege to be with you virtually, even though I couldn't be with you in person at this time. I wanted to share a quote which I've changed slightly by Martin Luther King Jr. And he says, "The ultimate measure of a leader is not where he or she stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he or she stands in times of challenge and controversy." And I bet at the beginning of this year, if you signed up for a leadership role, you could never have imagined that you would be dealing with a pandemic. For me, I kind of thought pandemics were like the Black Plague from centuries ago. And we've had relatively minor pandemics over the last few years, but perhaps naively, I thought that in this modern day with our technology and our medicine, that pandemics were a thing of the past. And yet here we are. You and I are in some form of lockdown, wherever we live. And the thing about this virus is that it knows no boundaries. It is no respecter of geography, of culture, whether you're rich or poor, educated or illiterate, a Toastmaster or a non-Toastmaster. We're all in the same boat. I had plans at the beginning of this year. I had plans to visit my children who live overseas. I had plans to attend a convention in the USA. I had plans to celebrate important birthdays with families and friends. And I've been really disappointed and at times really frustrated that my opportunity to choose and to decide where I go, when I go, has been taken away from me. On top of that, in Saudi Arabia, I know you're also facing the challenges that a drop in the oil price brings. So it seems like if anyone could have chosen many things for us to cope with at one point, 2020 was the time when they decided that that was going to happen. So as a leader, you no doubt also had plans for a successful club. And in our program, we measure success by the Distinguished Club program and the Distinguished District program. So perhaps you envisage being a distinguished club, area, division, or district. You were probably looking forward to attending your district conference, on speech contests, training your teams, and all that has changed. I found myself asking, what does success look like in a pandemic when everything else has changed? Are the measures of success as we know them still relevant? And I've come to the conclusion that my answer is yes, although perhaps the emphasis is slightly different. For me, if you would like to be a successful leader in this time of pandemic, there are 3 things you need to be doing. The first of those is a successful leader demonstrates care and concern for our members. More so than ever before, it is essential that when you reach out and connect with your clubs and members, that you demonstrate concern. We cannot just start talking about what needs to be done. The first part of the conversation has to be, how are you? Are you safe and well? Is your family safe and well? How is life in lockdown treating you? We cannot get beyond that. That is the very least of what we can do to demonstrate care and concern. I find myself with more time than normal. I'm not driving around. I'm not even shopping. My husband goes out every day, so he's doing the shopping for me. So I find myself with more time. And I've tried to consciously reach out to people I haven't spoken to for a while and just connect. Ask them how their version of lockdown is treating them. And those conversations have really been enriching and rewarding, and it's been a wonderful reconnection. So as leaders, I encourage you to reach out to your members in ways that perhaps you never have before. But your call could make someone's day. Someone who's struggling with the loneliness and the isolation, hearing from you could give them a lot of courage and could motivate them to attend another meeting or to just participate. So don't underestimate the power of your connection to your members. The second thing that successful leaders need to do in a pandemic, in my view, is to embrace change. Hasn't that been the message of the last few weeks and months? Everything's changed. If we think of our Toastmasters world, our clubs are now meeting online. We're having online contests. We are having online conferences, online elections. And now even our international convention has changed. For me, when all these changes came about, there was a certain amount of learning that had to come each step of the way. Whether it was how to conduct an online contest or an online meeting, how to make sure that our club members knew how to do that. And I've been so inspired by many leaders, especially those in the Middle East, who have gone beyond the call of duty to share their expertise and knowledge with many of us. And I know District 79 has made available guidelines for online meetings, but leaders from the Middle East have also gone further, and they have held mock online speech contests to help people learn what they need to learn to do those successfully. We've done mock online district council meetings. All that has been such a generosity of spirit that has been shared way beyond a district to other districts within the region and even beyond. And that has really so inspired me, that we have that heart of giving to help others embrace the change. Because if we don't embrace the change, we get left behind. The third thing that successful leaders do is they look at life beyond the pandemic. A day or two ago, I had a conversation with a leader who lives in Shanghai in China. And we know that China has been through a lot with the coronavirus. They were in lockdown for 67 days, and they're only starting to come out of that now, very carefully, very cautiously. But having that conversation helped me remember that this is not forever. And that as much as we're planning for the pandemic and coping with the pandemic, we have to plan for life beyond the pandemic. And we have to make sure that everything that we've worked towards isn't completely abandoned because of a pandemic. So I started thinking about what is in lockdown and what isn't. And the more I thought about it, I might be in lockdown. I can't travel. I can't move around freely as I would like to, but my goals are not in lockdown. The way I care for my fellow club members and fellow leaders cannot be locked down. Your ability to be a positive influence on those around you can never be locked down. And your ability to inspire others is stronger than any epidemic ever could be. So I think we need to remember that not everything is locked down. And that each one of us, from where we're sitting right now, from the chair you're sitting in, from the room you're in, from your home, has the potential to be a successful leader. The type of leader who doesn't need a badge or a title, but can demonstrate caring and concern for fellow members, who can embrace change and who can plan for life after the pandemic. That is something that is available to all of us, not just to the people with badges and titles and responsibilities. Pretty soon you're going to be electing your new leaders for the following year, and you'll be doing it from lockdown. But what you're looking for, that spirit of leadership and generosity and caring, is not in lockdown. So for me, success in a pandemic is quite simple. It's about leading with your heart. People who lead with their heart find that others want to follow them. And teams are more likely to get things done if they feel that the leader is caring for them, is helping them walk through the changes that are coming, and is planning for the return to normal life after the pandemic. I know from experience that District 79 has a depth of leadership, a depth of talent available. And I am so confident that you have what it takes to get you through this pandemic. But I'd like to encourage you right now to think of somebody who has helped you during this time, someone who's reached out to you and expressed concern for your well-being, who during that conversation put aside their own challenges and stresses and fears to focus on you. Someone who shared knowledge or expertise with you that helped you climb that ladder of change, and someone who inspires you to think of life after the pandemic. My challenge to you is to reach out to that person or people and to just let them know what that meant to you. Let them know that their call made your day, made it easier, gave you hope, gave you inspiration. Send them a voice note and just let them know how special they are. Each of us need to look after one another, and expressing caring, concern, and gratitude to me goes a long way towards helping each one of us deal with this pandemic. So for me, that's as simple as it is. Success is important in a pandemic, but it comes from the heart, and it comes from caring and concern, embracing change, and looking forward to life afterwards. So thank you, and I look forward to your questions. I'll hand back to you, District Director. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our International Director, Toastmaster Aletta, for this really insightful talk with us. And really, it's a success. We have to lead by heart. It's not about the goals or the target, it's about the members. We need to help our members that they still stay safe and also help them to achieve their goals. I liked in your speech that you said we lead by heart and success only comes from the heart. Let's hear any questions from our moderators, question and answer moderators. MC Salim. Up to you now.
Thank you, District Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Salim Kamal, and Distinguished Toastmaster Aletta, Regional 11 Advisor. My responsibility tonight is to welcome all your concerns, queries through the chat box addressed to our Q&A master, please. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns that you would like to address our distinguished guest tonight, Distinguished Toastmaster Aletta, please address them through the Q&A master. I have few questions that I have been receiving already. With your permission, DTM Aletta, can we start the question answer session?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the first question is, the effect of virtual meetings are taking over right now. What is the proportion of this effect will it be after the pandemic on Toastmasters? With your permission, I will read the question. I will do an immediate translation. Once I have your answer, I will also do the translation. السؤال الذي وصلني هو تأثير الاجتماعات عبر الأونلاين بدأت في النمو والازدياد. ماذا سيكون تأثير هذه الاجتماعات بعد انتهاء الجائحة? Over to you.
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. Suddenly being forced to have virtual meetings has changed the flavor of Toastmasters as most of us know it. The short answer is we don't know yet. We are making decisions, the board of directors and world headquarters, as they come up. We haven't solved all the problems. We're taking it step by step. So decisions were made to allow online meetings, and towards the end of the pandemic, as things return to normal, we'll revisit that. So I can't give you any answer on that, except that it's already changed and that you already know. Thank you.
Thank you. الإجابة كانت أننا نرى فرصة للتغييرات التي نعيشها، وتم فتح هذا الموضوع مع مجلس الإدارة والبدء في المناقشة لهذا التحول، ولكن لا يوجد لدينا حاليا أي قرار في التغييرات المحتملة، وسيتم النظر إليها والعودة إليها بعد وصول القرار. The second question is, you have mentioned thankfully in your speech success in pandemic based on 3 elements. Number 1 is demonstrate care and concern. The second one is embrace change. When we say embrace change, mainly the message thankfully was addressed to the leaders and the members. What we as leaders and members can convey the value to the guests for them to join Toastmasters. السؤال كان أنه أنك ذكرتي في تقريرك أنه أن النجاح في الجائحة مبني على 3 عوامل. العامل الثاني هو تقبل التغيير. الرسالة، ما هي الرسالة التي تريدنا أن نحن الأعضاء والقادة أن نوصلها للضيوف بحيث يلتحقون إلى نادي التوستماسترز? Over to you.
Thank you. Our meetings have changed. We've now becoming very familiar with online meetings, and I think the same is true for the business world. I don't think we'll ever go back to the way it was before the pandemic. I think people and companies have realized how much can be done online. So more than ever before, I think that what we offer is relevant. We know that many countries are struggling economically in this time, and many people might face loss of income and loss of jobs. But I truly believe that as Toastmasters, should we have to go for another interview, we would be ahead of everybody else because of the skills we learn and practice on a regular basis. And now that our online skills are improving, I think it's even more important than it ever has been before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. الإجابة كانت أننا حتما نمر بتغييرات جذرية من الناحية الاقتصادية والحضرية واستخدام التكنولوجيا، ونحن في التوست ماستر السباقين في اقتباس هذه التغييرات لصالحنا، وبالتالي يجب علينا اكتساب مهارات جديدة لصقل مهاراتنا الشخصية، ومن ثم استدعاء الضيوف وإقناعهم بالقيمة المضافة في حين التحاقهم بالتوست ماسترز. My third question here is, reward and recognition has been always an integral part of Toastmasters business. Since everything now is moving into virtual world, how can Toastmasters embrace what could be tangible, what could be valuable in terms of reward and recognition? Over to you.
Reward and recognition. It's something we all thrive on. It's something we all celebrate. And it does feel different doing that virtually. The applause isn't the same. The opportunity to walk across stage and have your photo taken is not the same. And at this point, it feels unfamiliar. I think we have to do what we can with what we have from where we are. I can't give you any long-term solutions. As I say, we're making those decisions as time goes on. But reward and recognition always has been part of the fabric of being a Toastmaster, and I envisage that continuing. I think we'll get better at it as we experiment with new things. I know, for instance, there are digital ribbons that you can use for your virtual club meetings. That didn't exist before. So we still have to honor one another. We still have to celebrate our successes, but at the moment it is different, and we'll continue to find ways to make it better. Thank you, MC Salim.
Thank you. السؤال كان المكافآت والتحفيز يمثل جزء مهم في التوست ماستر من حيث نقل هذه القيمة المضافة في تجربة التوست ماستر، كيف لها أن تتأثر مع التحول الرقمي الذي نعيشه؟ الجواب كان أننا حتما نواكب التغييرات، ونرى أن الفرق في المكافآت والتحفيز الرقمية تختلف نوعا ما من التحفيز الرقمي، من التحفيز والتشجيع الرقمي حتما. ونحن في صدد مناقشة هذا الموضوع لتحسين هذا المنظومة لما بعد الوباء. I have received DTM Aletta many questions on the elections because I guess we are in the period of elections. I will try to sum up and with one question over the questions that I've received. The question is, how can we ensure a fair virtual experience of elections in the present situation? السؤال هو طبعا استلمت أكثر من سؤال على موضوع الانتخابات في ظل الظروف التي نحن فيها الآن، ولكن كاجتهادا مني سألخصها في سؤال واحد. ما رأيك أو كيف تنصحيننا في استخدام أو في حضور انتخابات رقمية عادلة ومنصفة؟ Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's a very, very important question. Elections are important to us, and the fact that they are run fairly is crucial to our trust in our leaders and our trust in the system. For us to do fair elections virtually, my best advice is that we use tools and technology that have been proven worldwide. I know that Toastmasters International has recommended a few virtual election platforms. The one whose name I happen to know is Election Buddy, but there are others. And those have been tried and tested all over the world over many years. So it's not new, it's been through testing and challenges and supervision and scrutiny. So follow the guidelines that Toastmasters International has given you. Make sure that you use one of the platforms that they have recommended that have been tested over time, and then trust that that system is exactly what it is. It'll give you a fair election. Thank you, MC Salim.
Thank you. الإجابة كانت أننا حتما نرى موضوع الانتخابات في محض الأمانة والمسؤولية، وهي جزء من رسالة التوست ماسترز. ونحن نؤمن أن القادة المسؤولين في هذا المجال هم محل ثقة، وقد قمنا بعمل تجارب لانتخابات وتمت بنجاح، وسنستمر في تمثيل هذه الانتخابات على أكمل وجه وبصدق وبأمانة، ونحن نؤمن تماما في إمكانيات القادة الذي هم مع المسؤولية. Another question I've received is some of our clubs are facing problem with the audience. What would be your advice to make our online meetings more attractive and speeches are more heard? السؤال الذي وصلني هو بعض من الأندية تعاني من الحضور الجماهيري. كيف لنا أن يكون اجتماعاتنا كيف لنا أن يكون اجتماعاتنا مثمرة وخطاباتنا ذو فائدة? Over to you, ma'am.
It is such a learning curve. Speaking from personal experience, my online club meetings have felt quite strange. And as speakers, it's very hard to be talking to a camera and not have the audience interaction, the eye contact, the audience response. It feels very disjointed. And again, it's a learning curve that we have to embrace. It's not perfect, but we can still learn from one another. And for instance, I watched an online meeting, I forget which one it was, and saw someone come up close to the screen and whisper to the screen. And I thought, I can do that. I can learn from her. So we've got to help each other through this learning curve. I miss being able to have a round of applause after every speech or table topic like we normally do. But in my club, we just talk about it, and our meetings are fairly relaxed. We've decided to have weekly meetings instead of every 2 weeks, and they're shorter, but there's a wonderful community spirit that's helping us deal with everything that's unfamiliar. So just do your best, just keep practicing, keep getting better, and we'll all grow into this together. Thank you, MC Salim.
Thank you. الإجابة كانت أننا حتما نمر بالتغييرات، وأنا شخصيا في نادي عندما أقدم مشروع خطابة أرى أن الفرق في أننا لا نستطيع النظر إلى الحضور أو سماع التصفيق في حالة الإعجاب، ولكن التغييرات هذه هي مرحلة يجب علينا التأقلم عليها. فأنا قبل حين رأيت أحد المقدمي الخطب يقرب من الكاميرا ويبدأ في الهمس وكأننا نسمعه. فبالتالي هذه أشياء لم تكن موجودة في الماضي، وإذا يمكن استحداثها في العالم الرقمي الجديد فحتما لدينا المزيد من الفرص لاقتباس هذه التغييرات والاستفادة من الوضع الذي نمر به. I think the time, DTM Samir, should I stop here or should I continue?
Actually, we are receiving a lot of questions in the chat box. So if Toastmaster Aletta can give us from her time 10 minutes, so we can answer the questions. They are in the chat box, Salim. You would like to read about it.
Sure. I'm getting on my WhatsApp as we agreed. So trying to put them all together, and I think our Q&A master is doing a great job already. DTM Aletta, is that okay? Can we have another 10 minutes extra?
Sure. No problem.
Thank you very much, ma'am. What is the future? The next question is, what is the future of the International Speech Contest? We believe this year it will going to be virtually. What are your leadership insight to this new experience in the coming years? السؤال هو سنشهد السنة هذه مسابقات سنوية عبر الإنترنت. ما مدى رؤيتكم وتطلعاتكم للسنين المقبلة? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Because we're not having an international convention in person, things are changing. However, at this point, I don't know the details. So I can't even guess as to exactly the format, but I know that Toastmasters International will do its best to make sure that we have the prestige, the professionalism, and the joy of an international speech contest. But I don't have any of those details at all at this point. So I'm looking forward, just as you are, to seeing what it is going to be and to celebrating our new world champion.
Thank you. الإجابة كانت أنكم كما تعلمون أنه تم إلغاء الاجتماع السنوي المقرر في فرنسا، ونحن نتطلع إلى المسابقة بشغف عبر المنصة الإلكترونية. حاليا ليس لدينا تصور عن السنين المقبلة، ولكننا نطمح في أن تكون هذه التجربة عبر الأونلاين تجربة فريدة من نوعها، ونتمنى أن نرى المتسابقين في أوج انتصاراتهم. I have another question. What would be your top 3 advice for best practices for online meetings based on your personal experience? برأيكم ما هي 3 أفضل نصائح تحبون أن تقدمونها للاجتماعات التي تجرى عن طريق online? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Of all the online meetings that I've attended, the ones that go very well are the ones where the hosts and the co-hosts are very, very familiar with whatever platform you're using. So if they are very skilled, then they can help other people navigate any changes they might have. It's little things like muting your microphone that people sometimes forget to do. I think the other thing I've learned to be very conscious of is to be aware of how you are showing up on screen. I've seen too many people be in a chair and they just swing back and forth, you know, because they feel like it. And I've seen people eating, and it's a meeting. So try and make sure that there are not too many distractions around you, and that you are not being part of the distractions for the speaker or for the other meeting attendees. And I think, like any meeting, it's planning. It's making sure you've got enough role players to speak, to evaluate, to take part in table topics, but it's teamwork. That's probably all of it. Like any of our meetings, a virtual meeting with good teamwork is a good experience. Thank you, MC Salim.
Thank you, ma'am. My apology, I missed the 3rd point. I was trying to do 3 different tasks at the same time. Can you help me, please?
Not a problem.
Only. Thank you.
I've got to remember what I just said now as well.
My apologies.
It's not a problem. I was talking about the host being very
yes.
skilled, that helps. And I was talking about
being
not
prepared for the camera.
And I think the 3rd one was teamwork, planning, making sure that the meeting is well planned with enough people to take part. And I think at this point, let's just give MC Salim a round of applause for doing so many things at the same time. It's just amazing.
Thank you very much. I'll be more cautious with the translation in future, but thank you again. الإجابة التي وصلت من DTM أليتا هي تنصح 3 نقاط جدا مهمة لنجاح التجربة الاجتماعات عبر الإنترنت أو عبر الأونلاين. النقطة الأولى هو ما مدى تنظيم الاجتماع ودور المشرف على الاجتماع. مثلا يجب على الميكروفونات أن تكون على الصامت، الإنارة، التنظيم، الدخول، الخروج، فإذا دور المشرف في عقد الاجتماعات دور جدا مهم. والنقطة الثانية هو مدى استعداد الشخص للحضور أمام الكاميرا. فأنا شخصياً رأيت أن بعض السادة الحاضرين يكونون مشغولين في الأكل أو عدم الاستعداد للظهور أمام الكاميرا من خلال ملبسهم أو مشربهم، أو حتى في وضعية لا تليق بالاجتماعات الرسمية. إذن الاستعداد للظهور أمام الكاميرا جدا مهم، فهذه اجتماعات رسمية. والنقطة الثالثة هو العمل ضمن فريق في تنظيم اجتماع متكامل من حيث توزيع المهام والأدوار حتى يكون الاجتماع اجتماعا ناجحا. One last question that would be, how would the championship in the virtual world would be encouraged versus real championship arena? How would the virtual championship would be encouraged versus the real championship competitions? What would be your advice? السؤال كان كيف للمتسابق في المسابقات الدولية أن يتم تحفيزه وإحساسه بهذه المسابقة كون المسابقات الفعلية أكثر حماساً وتشجيعاً. Over to you, ma'am.
In my opinion, I would have enormous respect for whoever wins the 2020 World Championship of Public Speaking. They are speaking without the benefit of an audience. They are speaking without the benefit of seeing our reactions, of making eye contact, of hearing our laughter. I think they would really have a lot to offer us in terms of teaching us how to connect virtually when we are so used to having an audience and so reliant on an audience. So I would hold them in high regard. And I think many of us would agree. They would be masters in my book. Thank you.
Thank you. المسابقة السنة هذه متميزة وفريدة من نوعها، فالمتسابق على جميع الأصعدة لن يستطيع الإحساس بتصفيق الجمهور له أو الابتسامة الجمهور له أو حتى تشجيع الجمهور له. فأنا أعتقد في رأيي أن التجربة هذه فريدة من نوعها، وعلى المتسابق أن يخبرنا بعد المسابقة كيف له أن يعيش في جو السباق ويستطيع من خلال السباق الاتصال والبقاء على الاتصال مع جمهوره الذي لا يراه عبر الإنترنت. فهذه تجربة فريدة ويجب لنا أن نتعلم منهم هذا الدرس. With this, my time has ended. Thank you very much, DD, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much, DTM Aletta, for accepting through me the question and answers. Over to you, DD Samuel Kamal. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Salim. And before I end, I would like to ask this question because really it's very important, in my opinion, it's an important question. The question is that we are saying in this episode by Toastmaster Aletta and also Toastmaster John last week, that in the crisis, and also that leading by heart is important for success, but in real life, we know that also that leading during crisis requires firm style of leadership, where the leader has to take charge and from bottom up style changes to top down. So how can he, the leader, balance between these two styles? It's a long question. Let me repeat it again, Toastmaster Aletta. I'll repeat it again. The question is that we have to, in the crisis time, we're saying that we have to lead by heart. And it says the question that in real life, we know about the leading during crisis requires firm style of leadership, where the leader has to take charge and from bottom up style changes to top down style. So how can we balance between these two styles in the crisis time?
It's a very important question. In my opinion, even if you need to demonstrate authority and decisiveness, you are not a leader in a vacuum. In other words, you are leading people and you have to take the people with you. You've got to get them to buy into those decisions and to understand the context. So for me, it's always important to consult, to listen, make sure that people are heard, and you can still be decisive within that. But you've got to give people a chance to be part of the conversation. So in times of crisis, I think we need more conversation than ever before. And it doesn't change that certain tough decisions have to be made, and it doesn't change the fact that not everyone's going to be happy. But include people in the conversation, allow them to ask questions, and explain to them the reasoning behind your answers. And then trust that you as a team can go forward knowing that you're doing the right thing.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aletta, for your answer. Fellow Toastmasters and our wonderful guests from all over the world. This was our second episode of District 29 Leadership Talk, and we were honored with the presence of the International Director of Region 11, distinguished Toastmaster Aletta Rochat, where she answered very critical question, which is, how can we define success in the crisis? And I can summarize it by saying, we have to take care of our members. And we have to connect with them. We have to call them. We have to be sure that they are safe and hear and listen to their concerns. Also, I would like to add here that you need to encourage them to pursue their goals. Toastmasters International opened the door for the online meeting platforms. So we can still pursue our projects, our speeches through this platform. And I always say to my members here that there is nothing better in the lockdown than preparing your speech and sharing your concerns and sharing your experience with others through your club meetings. We are more luckier than others. We're still searching what can they do in the lockdown. This was Samer Kamal, your District 79 Director. I enjoyed in this second episode. We meet every Monday at 4 p.m. Saudi Arabia local time, and wish you all the best and have an enjoyable